turned a PPC into a growth engine for brands doing $50 million plus in revenue while refusing to hide behind spreadsheets. It's Miss Carly Scott from logicalposition.com. She's the manager of client services, and she leads enterprise PPC with a focus on sustained growth, radical experimentation, and brand impact, not just those last click wins. We're here on the Marketer of the Day podcast with Robert Plank. We're brought to you by dfypodcast.com, where we handle the podcast backend editing, publishing, and promotion so you can focus on the interview. But the interview that we're focused on right now today is about this amazing company, Logical Position. They're all about internet marketing done right. And Miss Carly has a lot to say. She's outspoken about YouTube, about AI, and about digital marketing. So we're going to get some problems solved today. If you say, I'm posting the videos, they're not growing, I'm so overwhelmed with AI, how do I use it for more traffic, more conversions? This is exactly the right place. So Miss Carly Scott, glad to meet you. Glad to be speaking with you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much for having me. What an intro there. My goodness.
Well, thank you. We have to hit the ground running, right? But what's the point in saying, oh, well, I guess she's great? We have to say, no, this is the most exciting podcast you'll listen to in your entire life. So I hope you don't let us down. And what are you up to? What currently has you passionate, focused, excited?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I am definitely eating all of the YouTube AI Kool-Aid right now. That is everything that I'm eating and breathing right now is how the digital landscape is quickly changing and how businesses can tap into it, because let's be honest, I mean, the digital world is already pretty complicated, and now it's always quickly changing on top of that. But now that we're in this on the cusp of, we're in the changing world of AI right now, but we are on the cusp of it becoming a lot more intentionally monetized by advertisers and whatnot. So, making sure that you have a team behind you that actually understands the ebbs and flows of this landscape is absolutely essential. So that's kind of what has me fired up today.
Well, I'm excited to talk about that with you, because it seems like just ever since the internet started, there's been this war, hasn't it? Of like, well, if I make the content, I'm in just a sea of all this noise. How do I get found out? But then also, things came across like log and ping or zero-click search, where the flip side of that is sometimes you can put out that content and it's surprising when it's so easy to be found if you do the right things, right? And like the last couple of weeks, I've been getting more into the AI deep research. Like, I love it. I say, make me like 5 pages about this topic. And then I'm like, whoa, it plucked all this stuff from like this podcast and this YouTube video. It's not just the hoity-toity scholarly articles. And so it seems like, whoa, if we can get AI figured out correctly and it kind of like super indexes what we put out there, then if someone says, hey, what is Logical Position all about? What's Carly Scott about? Then we can just have all this authoritativeness, right? Have the good old EEAT and the Google ranking and everything that comes with that. But what has you excited? Like, what's your guys' focus as far as the YouTube, the AI? What are we maybe missing out on that you have figured out?
Yeah. Well, little background about me, and then I'll get into Logical Position. I think just my background's not anything that terribly magical. I went to school and got into digital advertising. Specifically, I graduated with a marketing degree because I went into marketing thinking this is the fun part of business. It doesn't, hold any math or data. I wasn't good at that stuff growing up, and it's the creative arm. But as I developed in my career quite a bit more, I definitely quickly learned that marketing is so centered in math and data and numbers. So I definitely got, jokes on me. I went into that industry thinking one thing and came out very, very different. But as I kind of figured out what I wanted to do and eventually landed here with Logical Position, I've been with LP for about almost 7 to 8 years, and have been in this industry for over a decade. And I have never left LP, honestly. I've gotten to have my hands in a lot of different types of marketing. And Logical Position, the reason I have stuck around this long is because, one, I think LP is constantly trying to make sure that we are cutting edge and staying top of, all of this change. We also have a ton of really fantastic relationships with all of our partners like Google, like Meta, like Microsoft and more, that allows us to be cutting edge more so than other agencies because we are more in the loop on what is coming down the pipeline. So that's one thing. And then I think the other reason that makes us stand out quite a bit is that because, frankly, and this is kind of a cheesy answer, is our people. We're founded with people first orientation. Our founders really, built a culture upon that. And I think the fact that we make sure that individual knowledge is, not only celebrated, but, shared amongst our entire team. We don't gatekeep. We want to just make sure that we are doing the best by our customers, really. And that comes from businesses anywhere from small SMBs who mom and pop shop who might have $500 to spend on PPC, to a brand who spends millions plus a month across PPC, go all the way down to Amazon and Meta and whatnot. So that's just a little background about myself and LP. And I think truly what does make us stand out is the fact that we are so rooted in our people and our data. So that was a long-winded way of answering that question of yours.
But it's about people and data. And isn't it just a cruel joke that when we were kids, we thought that creativity meant all this freedom, right? Like, oh, I'll be a sketch artist, or I'll be a copywriter, and then it turns out you grow up and it's like it's all been invented, right? Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun. If you go to like TV Tropes, it's a website, and they say like, hey, all these kind of plot points you've seen in any movie and TV show, like they just kind of assemble the pieces, and then you get a little bit let down, but then you kind of regroup and say, okay, well, it's all been done, but then you can kind of see what works, and you can say, ooh, well, if we're doing this this website, we can do this with the content, the design, this with the PPC ad strategy. So then it's like, okay, well, the creativity does exist. I just have to kind of look at what's there and what works, and take the data, but also kind of add my own experimentation. And so as far as what logical position does, like you mentioned PPC, you mentioned different size budgets, like what's the breakdown of services? If someone says, oh my gosh, I need logical position to do all these things for me yesterday, what are the deliverables? What do you do for these businesses?
Yeah. So, I mean, anything under the sun when it comes to digital. So managing your PPC. So that's like Google and Microsoft. So you don't have to go through, combing through your search query report and figuring out what you should and should not be bidding on. We also manage Amazon. We manage email and Meta. And we're quickly expanding our services, to other social channels, and also trying to incorporate more AI. And then another arm of the business includes SEO. So basically, we're just a full one-stop shop digital advertising agency. And I think really my background is most specialized on the PPC side. But what's so overlooked on PPC more than anything, and this technically, it's funny to me that YouTube is grouped under the Google Ads platform, because Google Ads, you think of Google, it's more pay per click, right? It's where you're typing something in and you're getting served an ad. YouTube is very different. It's always amazing to me that Google didn't create like a separate ads platform for it, because people so often then assume that YouTube is going to operate very similarly to other, PPC campaign types. But it's just completely different. It's more along the same lines as like Meta, along the same lines of social engagement, trying to get those eyes versus those actual clicks and conversions. So I think a lot of people fall into that pitfall of not necessarily evaluating different types of advertising under the same, they evaluate it under the same umbrella when they really should be evaluated separately. So that I went down a rabbit hole, like I told you I would.
Of course.
But yeah, a little bit of everything as far as what LP does. But one of my passion projects, like I mentioned, is definitely making sure that the YouTube arm works for folks.
Well, great. And I like the rabbit holes, right? Because I think that like when I listen to podcasts, sometimes I feel like there's value in the encouragement. And especially when it comes to paid ads, boy, like I don't know what you've seen, but like it's all just people talking me out of running paid ads, right? I hear people say, okay, well, if you want to run paid ads, it'll be $30,000 retainer and 6 months. And even then there's no guarantees. But then when I play around a little on my own, I'm like, well, this is kind of fun just to dabble, but then I know like I don't really get the results that I could or should, right? I'll just kind of boost Facebook post or I'll boost a YouTube video and I'd be like, whoa, I'm
Mhm.
amazed at how simplified they've made it and how the like all these ad platforms seem to just say, hey, just let us handle it. We'll run our own AI that you won't see in a black box and we'll just kind of optimize for you. So sometimes I look
Yes.
at how the paid ad is and I'm like, I get encouraged again about the possibilities. So, I mean, what do you have to say if someone has maybe tried pay per click and failed, or maybe some other agency like took their money and kind of delivered nothing? Like, what do you have to say to get us re-encouraged about what's
Yeah.
possible?
You said two things, so I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole and then answer your question. So one thing that you mentioned was that everything's becoming a lot more black box, and it's so true. And then also not only more black box, but easier for the average Joe to just set up. Because that it benefits Google, right? If it's easier for everybody to just pop in there and build a campaign type out, that's fantastic. Hopefully more people will be doing it. But the thing that makes it challenging is the black box piece of it. Now, some of that is just because, like you mentioned, more AI integration within these platforms, which, some of that's just being kept kind of behind the scenes to say it's part of the AI integration and whatnot. But the key of having an agency is really an agency that has your back and it has a partner to look under the hood. It's being able to drive that data storytelling when we are experiencing this world of black box and AI reporting and whatnot, where you're just not able to get the same level of insights. Now, that's not to say that we don't have like the same like any magical way of viewing this data that you wouldn't within your Google Ads platform, but it's about understanding the platform and figuring out how to dissect the data in a way that actually makes sense. So that's one piece that I'll speak to. And then as far as like the YouTube side of it, getting into and just being not even actually, let's even drill down one step further. Not even the YouTube piece. Just if you tested PPC and it wasn't successful for you, I would say, one, did you put all your eggs in one basket? If you did, you probably were setting yourself up for failure. The consumer journey is no longer linear. It's more like a what is that little kid toy? You know that kid toy where you push it and it goes boop 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 and it kind of pops all over the place. Anyways, um,
I can picture, yeah, like it when
stick.
it's all these balls are in a thing and they
Yes,
push it and pop 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 pop. But
exactly,
I don't know
exactly.
the name. Yeah.
Like, on average, a consumer takes 9 touch points before they're actually converting. So if you are thinking that you didn't do well on paid search, maybe you weren't viewing it under the correct lens. Maybe you were putting all of your eggs in one basket. Maybe you weren't targeting the right thing. But I will say there are a lot of scummy agencies out there. That is unfortunately a big negative of this industry. So if you have been bit, whether or not you type in logical position after this conversation, just do your research. Like, that's the whole thing. You can get any agency coming in and like we have people, calling our clients all the time saying, "Hey, we could do this better." That's just part of this industry. But it's about figuring out what types of reviews they have, the brands that they've worked with, have they had, reputable sources that they've worked with and have proof of concept. So um, I think that's really what it all comes down to. If you go with the cheapest option, you're going to get the probably the worst service and probably the more scummy side of the agency world, unfortunately.
Of course, but you guys know your stuff. That's logicalposition.com. And I love podcasts that tell a story, right? Because we can't fit it all in, but then we also don't want to be on the superficial, but a story kind of says like, oh, well, logical position, like help this company. And they set up some of these things that you're talking about, right? Where there is, so that someone kind of bounces around and we've all been there where we get retargeted. We see
Mhm.
something on YouTube, we click, we got on an email list, and sometimes it warms us up, and we're like, what a coincidence. I'm seeing logical position everywhere I look. And it's like, well, not really. They just set up some ads and
Yep.
you know that there's like 50,000 advertisements you see during the day, and theirs just kind of stand out because there's a lot of noise, and theirs is it just keeps showing up in different contexts. Like you see
Mhm.
the banner ads, and you get all these kind of follow up touch points. But you tell me, is there like an interesting like client story you have to share with us, just sort of showing us how you guys work your magic?
Mm. I'll reference my favorite clients. This I work with very few clients now myself, just because now I'm manager of client services, so I get to work with all of our account managers and teams, which is so rewarding, and making sure that everyone is um, basically on top of all their skills and knowledge within the industry. So I do a lot of training internally, which is so much fun. But one of my favorite stories of one of my clients, Cushion Lab, actually, they sell ergonomic pillows. I'm actually using one of their back support pillows right now.
Oh, nice.
So I'm actually a fan of them myself and work with them. So it's always a privilege when you get to work with brands that you're actually a fan of, and actually enjoy their product. So anyhow, they came on with us. Oh, I want to say around the pandemic, or even like right after the pandemic, and they were spending on Google. I mean, very, very low budgets. They were probably around $15,000. And now they've scaled upwards to, during the holidays, especially, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions in sales. And I think really the reason that this particular brand was so successful is, one, a willingness to test. If you are unwilling to take some risks when it comes to digital advertising, you're going to quickly fall behind, because, one, it's hard to get a quick read, you know, and especially on top funnel campaigns, if you're talking YouTube. I've seen some YouTube efforts take months to fully pay out. And that's just purely because, again, we all know that folks research 9+ touch points to actually make a conversion, to make a purchasing decision. And really what a lot of people end up doing is being way too short-sighted in their digital advertising. They look at, a week or even 2 weeks of data and say, oh gosh, I wasted money, and, that wasn't worth it. Well, is 2 weeks enough time? Should we be looking at a larger chunk of data? Should we be also, again, the other reason that this particular brand was successful is because we were able to invest in YouTube and be a little bit more patient. And like I was saying, look at a longer date range. The other reason I would say this particular brand was successful is they did not put all their eggs in one basket. They have expanded their reach into Amazon, into Meta, into we're already in PPC and YouTube and whatnot, but they have not just put all their eggs in Google Ads. They're making sure that they're hitting folks no matter where they are, no matter what stage of the funnel they're at, and no matter what platform they're at, because it's no longer just hanging out on Google and figuring out what your purchase. It's going on Google, going to YouTube and looking up that product and seeing what content's on there and what other people are saying, going to social and getting remarketed. And it's all about these different touch points across these different platforms. So I would say those two things is testing and not putting all of your eggs in one basket is really what it came down to for that particular brand success.
Wonderful. Well, there's some amazing possibilities, right, about what we can set up and just get kind of like expand this territory and run the meta ads and run the YouTube ads and just kind of be in all these locations. That way we can have that well-oiled machine that maybe
Mhm.
your company sets up and your company maintains. That way we can just kind of focus on running our business, and the customers show up to the landing page and make the phone calls and send the DMs. And like, what a world that could be if we had someone like you and your company just kind of running these things for us. And so, speaking to that, in these final minutes of our conversation, I'm sure you have some real good, juicy stuff that maybe I'm just not talking to you long enough to get to the good stuff. So, to help me shortcut that, I'm sure that there's a missing hidden question that I should be asking you. And only if I asked it, we would just have such an amazing answer. So, if I can cheat a little bit, help me out. What's the missing question in this conversation that I should be asking you? I just don't know to ask you.
That's a great question. I think what people are missing right now in this digital world, like what are people missing out on? And I think there's two key things. One, creative. When it comes to your brand, especially now in this world of AI and ease of taking your phone out and being able to produce content, high quality content pretty easily now. There's no excuse to not generate content, especially with the world of how, with AI coming into play. AI is now indexing, social posts. It's now also going to be a place where people can, like I was mentioning, intentionally check out on. You can actually target on chat gpt now and have ads on there and directly check out from there. It's still very new, it's still very not available to masses, but this is the direction that the world is going. So making sure your content is tailored for the AI world, and not only just the AI world, even if AI wasn't a piece of this conversation, if you don't have creatives and you're not a part of this creative space, you're going to quickly fall behind as a brand, because video, visuals, this is how consumers now digest information and trust information as well. And YouTube's one place where they actually trust content more than other social platforms, and it's a place that people go to for research. So making sure you are building up your content, not just for that last interaction, that last purchase. We all care about, return on ad spend metrics. We all care about making sure that that is as positive as possible, but making sure that you are also paying attention to filling the funnel and filling it in a way that is, like I said, intentional across other platforms, and taking into account the fact that people are going to take 9+ touch points to figure out if they actually want to purchase from you. I always say this to my customers: if you aren't there during the research phase, you sure as heck are not going to be there during the purchasing phase. So make sure that you are not only taking into account what that return on ad spend is, right? We want to make sure that we're looking at your overall business objectives and other pieces of the funnel than just last click return on ad spend. We want to look at how we are building the funnel and driving customers to you.
So important to be there during that research phase and to be properly optimized. And you're making me think about like the you and I podcast, and we always play around with the lights. I'm like, ooh, I'll get this new ring light, this new LED light, and you're giving me like these flashbacks to like, well, I would do some searches. I would look on Amazon. I'd go to YouTube. I'd give it to Chat GPT. I'd say, hey, I'm looking at this or that, and do you have any other suggestions? I go back to YouTube, and then in all the mix of that, then I would like go back on YouTube and like kind of see what the algorithm then gave me afterwards. And I mean, even there was like this like self-help guy a couple months ago where like I started seeing his reels, and I don't know if it was ads or what, but started seeing his reels, started seeing his YouTubes, ended up buying his audiobook, ended up like proactively going to the subreddit about this person. And so imagine if people did that for our company. Well, they could if we had things set up and optimized in this proper way. And so how can someone do that? How does a person or a company know if they're a good fit for logical position? And if they are, where should they go?
I mean, honestly, if you are struggling with figuring out your digital presence, you're probably a good fit. We love working with e-com, but we also don't just work with e-com. We work with a lot of lead generation. The good news is we don't have like a specific set of like businesses that we work with. I work from industries from baby clothes to jewelry to makeup to business acquisitions. And I mean, you name it. We've experienced it all. And I think that's also the key beauty of working with an agency. One, knowing that you don't have to know all of the ins and outs of digital advertising. I don't even know all the ins and outs of digital advertising because you can never. There's too much. And that's also the beauty of it, because if I was your account manager, as an example, it wouldn't just be me speaking with you. You'd have a whole team behind you, being able to speak to your specific industry and questions and whatnot. So I would say, if you are a business who is trying to get into the digital space, or if you are already on the digital space, you're probably a good fit for Logical Position. We basically just specialize in making sure that, you're growing effectively, and whether that is PPC or across multiple channels, that's what we're here for. I would also say, if you are struggling with figuring out how to tackle this AI world, particularly on the SEO side, because let's be honest, right now the biggest area that AI is really messing with is SEO. That's definitely going to change as more and more paid ads show up on, things like ChatGPT and whatnot. But if you are not sure how to approach this new AI world and how to tackle, ensuring you are staying cutting edge, that's also probably a good indicator that we can maybe help you out of it. So even if you don't know if you're a good fit or not, and you just want to ask us some questions, we're always down to chat. So you're always welcome to reach out and give us a call, and we'll tell you if we think we're a good fit or not. We've had some folks come to us and say, hey, I actually think you're probably better off managing this yourself for whatever reason or another. So we're very, very transparent. That's one of our core values as a company. So if we thought for some reason you weren't a good fit, we sure would be ready to tell you.
Well, wonderful. So it's worth having that conversation and see where it leads to get that digital presence figured out. And boy, the many of the kids these days don't even know what they're missing with these AI tools, right? Sometimes I'll geek out on I'll make a YouTube video, I'll dump in the transcript, I'll say, okay, what keyword should I target? What people are these? I'll do the searches in YouTube, I'll find other videos, and I'll be like, why does this video work so well? And the next iteration be like, well, how do I make my content more like what works, or the tags or the titles? But then, and I know that was just me just dibbling and dabbling around with some ChatGPT, and I can only imagine when there's an actual SEO agency using Ahrefs, or they've seen all these things, or they're running all these tools that we don't use, we haven't even heard of, because they eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff. And all these industries, like you're saying, right? They're all over the map, but they apply these same principles, and it's an exciting time to be alive. But there's also FOMO, and there's also saying, the time is limited. So that's why you need to have this conversation. Go to logicalposition.com. There's a big button there that says get in touch, and you can click around and get educated, but have this conversation with them and find out what they can do for you, find out what's possible, and find out just what are the easy wins and maybe what you're missing out on as far as getting the leads coming in, having this kind of digital omnipresence domination. There's so many cool possibilities. So we want you to go to logicalposition.com and contact them and have that conversation that Carly is referencing. But as we're doing that, Miss Carly Scott, it's time for the scary part of the podcast where I try to stump you. I try to put you on the spot by asking you about a fun quote or lesson that has served you in life or in business. So what comes to mind as far as a fun quote or lesson?
I'm glad I did my homework, and I came prepared, because I definitely would have blanked if I didn't. My actual all-time favorite quotes is, I'm gonna share my age a little bit, and also my my nerdiness. It's a quote from Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. He says, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. I just think that honestly is a great reminder. Every single day you are in the driver's seat. You are the one making the core choices of your life, and if you don't enjoy what you're doing right now, you can change it. That's the beauty of being human, and we have the ability to choose to spend our time and choose to spend our lives how we want to. And I think that's a really empowering reminder, especially in times where you're feeling stuck. We've all gone through that. So just remember, you get to decide how to spend your time and how to spend your life.
Oh yeah, completely. There's that bank account that gets $86,400 deposited every day, and if we don't spend it, it goes away either way. So make the best use of that time, and especially a great use of your time today and right now and further in the near future is going to logicalposition.com and find out how they can help you with your marketing. Get your ads in front of the right audience at the right time. They've been named Google's #1 agency for helping businesses grow online. They achieve winning results with PPC, SEO, paid social, email marketing, and Amazon advertising. Go there to logicalposition.com, get in contact with them. And Miss Carly Scott, it's been quite an education, quite an entertainment session of hearing about what's possible and hearing about the great work your agency has been doing. So thanks for being here and for bringing the good stuff to the table.
Thank you so much, Robert. It's been so fun. Thank you for having me. Thanks for having LP. We appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure.